forms of nature printing have been practiced for several hundred years. Of these, plant printing has the longest history. This leaf pattern from a sandbar willow is a good example. The second form is gyotaku, the Japanese art of fish printing or rubbing. The earliest known plant prints are found in a 15th century manuscript by the German physician Conrad von Butzenbach. The great Leonardo da Vinci included a sage leaf illustration in his notes on a plant printing process using lampblack. The famous American patriot and renowned printer Benjamin Franklin used prints of leaves on early colonial paper money to prevent counterfeiting. In more contemporary times, nature printing enjoyed a revival in the United States around 1930. Plant printers went from static hard subjects to the rhythm of leaves and the softness of blossoms. These ferns have been dramatically placed and colored to emphasize their lace-like quality. The fine texture of the multiflora rose provides an excellent highlight for this arrangement. Queen Anne's lace is a very delicate flower, requiring ultimate care in its printing. Sometimes simple forms, such as these sage leaves, can be arranged in interesting patterns. In the direct method of printing plants, a layer of ink is applied to the plant specimen with a brayer. The ink specimen is then placed on paper, covered with newsprint, and rubbed with the fingers so the ink produces a mirror image of the specimen. These leaves of cranesbill are a good illustration of the finished print. This can be a very difficult process when using frail and delicate specimens, but the result can be spectacular. The lace-like quality of this arrangement emphasizes the skeletal formation of these sassafras leaves. Nature prints can even take on a Picasso quality with sweeping lines and considerable white space. Here's another print with similar qualities. This is a fine use of purple cliffbreak fern in a dainty pattern. Printing soft, spongy specimens can be difficult, but rewarding. Notice these pigskin puffballs. Sometimes the artist's arrangement produces a print that makes the eye follow through the picture to the lead blossom, as in these tick-seeded sunflowers. Artists with special training will occasionally blend their nature prints with graphic interpretations, as with these mountain willows. Although nature prints are most frequently made on paper, they can also be printed on cloth. Here is a morning glory interpreted on a tablecloth, and a rose and morning glory on pillows. The arrangement of pictures or panels can give the impression of a continuous image. And also, as we see in this three-part panel. And the following slides are each excellent examples of nature printing. Begonia, Queen Anne's lace, freesia and iris leaves, leaf maple, thistle and goldenrod, New York fern, and a red maple in all its fall glory. Although plants and leaves provide variation in texture, shape, and color, marine life provides similar opportunities in the gyotaku process. Gyotaku prints are really more clearly identified as rubbings. Two processes, direct and indirect, are used. The most common is the direct method. It involves placing ink or paint on the specimen and then placing delicate paper on the pigment. The artist then uses his or her hands to mold the paper into the contours of the specimen. This technique is a close variation to stone rubbings that were an important influence on the development of gyotaku. In the indirect method, a moist sheet of long fiber paper is placed over the fish or other marine life. Ink, placed on tampos made of silk wrapped around a ball of cotton, is then daubed on the paper to pick up the details of the specimen underneath. The specimens can be arranged in any desired pattern for artistic expression. Or, the arrangement and number of specimens can duplicate behavior in an aquatic environment. The Gyutaku artist has the wealth of the lakes, rivers, and oceans to use as models. This sturgeon combines features of both fresh and saltwater species. Large fish, such as this swordfish, present unusual problems. The special paper used in Gyutaku is not made in large enough sizes to cover the fish. Fabric must be used to make an encompassing impression. However, some large fish, like these steelhead, can be arranged into interesting patterns, as are these Spanish mackerel. A talented Gyutaku expert can arrange the fish as though they are emerging from a secluded place in the water. These three half-beaks have been made by the indirect method and seem to be swimming in military formation. Embedding the fish in clay can create a concave image that appears fossil-like. Or a reverse mold can be made to give a convex fossil appearance. Obtaining the effect of the fish swimming is usually governed by the size and shape of the fish. The long and wide pectoral fins of this flying fish are a good example. And so is this sculpin from Alaska. Including a multiple image gives the feeling of more fish in the distance. These Atlantic lookdown have this effect, as do these Pacific salmon. Sometimes a bit of undersea plant life can reinforce the image of the fish being in the sea. The isolation of a fish that has an unusual propulsion apparatus can also convey movement. Or an elongated fish can be bent to convey a diving motion. Some images bring back fond memories, such as catching our first fish, like this white crappie, or the thought of dining on these flatfish, or this salmon. Or we can sit on the dock and watch the fish go by, like these butterfish, or this mirrored dory, or this triggerfish, who seems to wink and say goodbye.